Myself, I seldom drink water because I get all the living water from fresh raw fruits and vegetables, green leaf vegetables.
It was a strange thing to do, quitting water, but I did it, and I want to explain why I did it and what I experienced and what I would recommend for you. The reason I did it is because, and for those of you who don't know my story, I was a raw vegan for 10 years, 100% raw, and I just recently started incorporating some cooked food into my diet. But while I was raw, I wanted to be super, super pure. I wanted to be like the healthiest version of a human being possible. I wanted to do everything right. And so I was really inspired by people like Robert Lockhart, who at the time was, a healthy, vibrant, vital guy in his late 60s, early 70s. And he was like picture of health for me. He's like the ideal textbook version of a healthy 70-year-old. And I want to be just like him. And so every summer I went to the Woodstock Fruit Festival and I learned from a bunch of presenters there, people like Ann Osborne, Don Bennett, Rob Lockhart, Mike Arnstein. And it was Rob who gave a talk one year about heavy water.
One molecule in 6,000 molecules of water is heavy water, which is toxic to the body. You'll be taking in far more heavy, dead water into your system than would otherwise be the case if you weren't drinking so much. Heavy water is D2O. Now, D2O is a deuterium oxide. It's a naturally occurring phenomenon, and if you use heavy water, it's tasteless, it looks the same as ordinary water, yet it will not sprout seeds, it will not support life. In fact, it's very, very damaging to the body, and the body tries to deposit out that heavy water into the fat deposits of the body. So that's where the fat and the liver contain the most concentrations of heavy water in the body. In order to get rid of heavy water, well, it's tough. By water fasting, you're still detoxifying, but you're still taking in some of that heavy water. So the only way really to reduce your load of heavy water is eventually to work up to being able to do some short dry fasts.
And so when I was at this talk that he gave, I was there with my friends, and afterwards we left the talk and we were walking around the festival grounds and we're looking at people drinking water and we're like, oh my God, like she's drinking water, he's drinking water, they're getting heavy water, like that's not doing anything for them. And we wanted to like tell everyone like, oh my God, like stop drinking water, you don't need that. And we just believed that you could survive and thrive off just coconut water and fruit water.
Myself, I seldom drink water because I get all the living water from fresh raw fruits and vegetables, green leaf vegetables.
So we believe you didn't need to drink water after listening to Rob's talk, and we were very inspired by that. I tried it. I was an athlete at the time too. I tried it, and all the water I would drink would just come from coconut water or watermelons, or fresh juices. But I avoided drinking water. I was like, oh, I don't want that in my body. That's just like heavy water. I'm gonna have to detox it eventually. So I don't want to put the extra burden on my body from drinking water. And looking back in hindsight, that's just crazy. But at the time, it was like it was like the cool thing to do, quit drinking water. And Robert Lockhart really believed it. He really did believe it up until, the day he died. When I tried it, every time I worked out, I got thirsty. And so I got to a point where instead of quitting water entirely, I just quit it when I wasn't working out. So while I was working out, I'd drink water. And then after I'd work out, I would just eat fruit or drink coconut water, whatever. But I would tell people like, oh, I don't drink water unless I'm exercising. So if I'm swimming, biking, running, I'll drink water. If I'm at the gym, I'll drink water. But other than that, before and after, I'm not going to drink it. And so I got to that point. It was like a hybrid between like completely quitting water and just like drinking it only when I was working out. And I didn't notice any benefits. I didn't notice like, oh my God, I'm so much lighter, I'm so much cleaner, I'm so much more pure. It wasn't like that at all. It was just like kind of like a conversation piece that people talked about. Like, oh, Ted doesn't drink any water. It was like kind of forming my identity a bit, like as like this total purist, which can be quite dangerous, getting into that mentality of like seeking total purity. But I quit drinking water unless I was exercising. And then I got to a point where I wanted to do a dry fast. And this was just very recently. I still believed in the power of dry fasting because of all of Rob's teachings and other people's teachings on YouTube. There's lots of people doing dry fasts on YouTube. And I thought, oh, I'll try a dry fast for myself. I heard good things about it in the past, so I went for it. I did a 3-day dry fast, and it was really easy. It was easier than water fasting. I'd done water fast in the past, multiple water fasts in the past, and I found that the dry fast was much easier. And so I was like, wow, this is great. And I heard that dry fasting eliminates mucus quicker, and it eliminates inflammation quicker. And so I thought, this is awesome. I was going to do a dry fast, and I'll lead in from that into a water fast. But what I've now found out is that dry fasting is very dangerous. Being dehydrated is very dangerous. And if you try to go for a run, or try to go for a walk, or try to do a good workout, and you're like 10% dehydrated, your performance goes down like 30%. Like, athletes can't get dehydrated. Athletes need to be hydrated at all times. And so if you're even slightly dehydrated, your performance goes way, way down. And so it's just like a sign right there that the body needs to be hydrated. And there's no benefit to being dehydrated. And people talk about dry fasting getting rid of inflammation quicker. It's like, because inflammation requires water. And so when you cut the water out, your body doesn't have that inflammation, but your body needs to have that inflammation to help heal itself. Or when it comes to getting rid of mucus, people talk about, oh, dry fasting gets rid of mucus quicker. Well, that's because mucus requires water. Mucus is mostly water. So when you do the dry fast, your body gets rid of all the water, and it appears that the mucus is going away, but it's mucus and inflammation, they're just symptoms, right? So when you do a dry fast, yeah, you get rid of the symptom, but shouldn't be the goal. The goal should be to heal, not to just get rid of symptoms. And so, yeah, when I did my dry fast, I did notice the decrease in symptoms, less mucus and less inflammation. I felt great, but I was really drawn to water. I was like, my mouth was always dry, and I was just always thinking about water, and I was wanting water. I jumped in the lake, I swam during my dry fast. I'm like, oh my God, water's amazing. I had a shower. I'm like, oh, the water's amazing. And my body naturally, instinctively just wanted water. And when I finally drank water, I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. It was pure bliss. And so from my personal experience, just recently, I was like, okay, dry fasting, it made the water fast easier the first 3 days. But my body wanted water. It really wanted water. And I know I couldn't have continued on dry fasting like that. I couldn't have done it for any great length of time without incorporating some water. And now, like I said, what I've learned is that the body doesn't work any better when it's dehydrated. You just get rid of certain symptoms temporarily. What I've also learned, and from Rob's death recently, when Rob was in the hospital, doctors did scans on his kidneys, and the doctors believe that all this dry fasting had done significant damage to his kidneys over the years, as scans and tests performed showed atrophy, scarring, and significantly reduced function. So Rob, he looked healthy on the outside. He probably felt great as well, but you can't tell if your kidneys are being scarred on the inside. You can't tell if, your kidneys have significantly reduced function. You can't tell if, your kidneys are atrophying or fatiguing. But that's what happens when you're chronically dehydrated, which is what Rob was. He's chronically dehydrated. I know Lauren Lockman talks about how some of the most dehydrated people he sees are fruitarians who aren't drinking any water. They're just, drinking coconut water and eating fruit, which is what I was doing. And so I really do regret quitting drinking water. I regret the dry fast, but I'm lucky I learned, and I hope you are too. I hope we are all lucky. As sad as it is, we feel lucky to learn from Rob's death. Now we're looking into this sort of thing. So dry fasting could have been this trend that could have continued on, but now because of Rob's death, we're all looking into it more. And yeah, even though he didn't die necessarily from the dry fast itself, it was probably a huge contributing factor to his death. And so now that he's dead, we can look into it and say, hey, is dry fasting actually healthy? And it turns out there's no science to back it up. There's no science to say dry fasting is actually healthy. There's science to prove water fasting is healthy. There's science to prove intermittent fasting is healthy. There's science to prove that eating a fruit-based raw vegan diet is healthy. There's science to prove that a whole food plant-based diet is healthy for sure. But there's no science saying that dry fasting is healthy. It's kind of common sense. Like when you're dehydrated, you can't perform that well. And so now what I've been doing over the past few months is I wake up and I do my morning routine. And then before I go for a walk or before I go to the gym, before I do any sort of fitness or any sort of activity, that's when I drink some water. And then I go for my walk, and when I'm walking, I'll drink more water perhaps, or when I'm at the gym, I'll drink more water, definitely. Every gym workout, I go to the water fountain at least 5-6 times. And then after my workout, I'll drink more water again before I eat my meal. So I go into my meals well hydrated. And then I eat high water content meal first thing. And then I'll wait a couple hours, and then I'll have some cooked food, and then I'll wait a couple hours, and then I'll have water to finish off the day, and then that's that. So I'm getting plenty of water from the water I'm drinking before I go to the gym. I'm getting water at the gym, and I'm getting water after the gym, and I'm getting water from my high water content fruits and vegetables and my juices and coconut water that I'm drinking. And then as well as I get water right before bed. So it's not right before bed, but it's after my last meal of the day. Now, I don't recommend drinking water with your meals. It's going to mess up your digestion. It dilutes the digestive fluids, the digestive acids. So I wouldn't recommend drinking water right before or right after your meals. I recommend drinking it 15 to 30 minutes before your meal and then an hour or two after your meal. But you can do it closer to the meal, but it's just going to mess up your digestion a bit. So that's what I do now, and that was my experience. And I have since now removed my dry fasting videos from YouTube, but if you want to check them out, I've posted the unlisted link in the description so you can watch my experience on my 3 days of dry fasting. Like I said, I felt great during that dry fast. Looking back on the videos, I'm like, I think I look pretty good too. But you can't tell what's going on the inside. And, I was super weak. I was super I had to be very, very chill, very, very laid back during that fast, which you should be on any fast, not just dry fast, but definitely on a dry fast. And I was getting sun too. I was laying out on the dock like I was an idiot, man. But the sun was nice and I didn't know better, So I can say I was an idiot, but really I didn't know better. And I was inspired by Rob, man. I was really inspired by Rob. Rob was still is a huge mentor of mine, and I'm still watching his videos, learning from him, talking about benefits of raw food and healthy living and handstands and inversions and things like that. So yeah, that's it for now. I'll see you all at the Canada Vegan Fest this coming August. It's gonna be freaking awesome, and can't wait to meet you in person. All right, that's it for now. Peace out.